Hi, welcome to One Eye on the Page. This is 5-Year Battle, Stephen King, the final 10. I originally was going to do a semifinals with The Stand getting a bye to the final four, and three groups of three books battling for the other three places. I decided instead to do a 10-team single elimination with the books acting in the place of the team. What I have decided to do after some extensive research of finding how you would find a champion for a final 10, I've decided to do a bracket for the 10 books. I felt that The Stand, It, and Insomnia, which I know is not going to be everybody's favorite, but is one of mine, would definitely have to be part of the final 8. So what I am going to do is I have Dolores Claiborne going against Dark Tower 7, and the winner of that will go against The Stand. On Writing, we'll be going against Different Seasons. Revival and Fairy Tale will be battling to face Insomnia, and 11/22/63 and It will be battling. And then, of course, we have the semifinals and then the final 2. So I am going to go ahead and do the find out who's going to be in the final 8. So we have Dolores Claiborne and Dark Tower 7. All right, so we have Dolores Claiborne versus Dark Tower 7. Dolores Claiborne was published in, I believe, 1993. Story of a woman who is questioned about the murder of her friend slash enemy slash employer. And in the questioning of this, we also find out information about a previous death, which she was rumored to be guilty of committing the murder, but it was never known 100% for fact. It is probably one of the finest examples of King actually getting the female character right, which he struggled with early on in his career, as I have mentioned previously. And this isn't a Stephen King thing. This is a writer thing, apparently, is that there is traumatic stuff that happens, trigger warning for it. Yeah, I've read several books in a row that have had something like this, so it gets to be a bit annoying, but it does happen. It is told all from her point of view of her talking to the investigators. Everything in here, probably except for maybe the last 3 to 5 pages, perhaps, is her voice basically being recorded talking. I mentioned before that seems a little bit excessive, which would assume that she was just sitting there for 12 hours or something and just talking. But that's a rather small complaint that I would have about the book, and it's one you can easily overlook unless you're doing a YouTube video about it, and you have to be an ass. So I really like this novel. It kind of has the problem of it's definitely not the best King book of the 90s, much less of all time. So even if it beats Dark Tower 7, it's going to get destroyed probably in the next round. Spoiler, perhaps. But it's still an excellent book. Just because, there's another book that's so much better doesn't mean that this book is not worth reading. Also, a good movie made from it, which is not the case with the Dark Tower 7. There is no movie of the Dark Tower 7. There is a Dark Tower movie. I have not seen it. I probably will not see it. I could get into a long diatribe about why I won't see it, why I know that I won't like it. One, King has a long history of books being very hit or miss whether or not they're adapted well or if a good movie is made of them. Like, I don't think The Shining was adapted well, but it's still a good movie, which I don't like, but it's good, whatever. Kubrick fans don't come after me. But also, I knew as soon as, I'm going to mispronounce his name probably, I apologize, Idris Elba. I knew as soon as he became Roland that I wasn't going to watch it, because there's no way for him to be Roland and for Susan to be part of the Dark Tower, because her race is very important in the series. And if Roland is a black man, which I don't care if Roland is a black man, except that it kind of ruins the story with Susan. If you wanted to make Randall Flagg a black man or Stu Redman or whatever, that's fine. But because race was a big part of the Dark Tower, it didn't make any sense to me. So that's kind of where I opted out. And I'm sure everybody did an excellent job acting in the film. It's just, it wasn't my Dark Tower that I was like, I look for adaptations that are close to the book as possible, and this was not. And I've just gone on a huge rant about movies. I apologize. But okay. So there's no movie about the Dark Tower 7. There is stuff about this that's not good. The villain is not particularly good. You could have a debate about whether or not the resolution or lack thereof is good. I happen to really like it, and I think it fits well with the Roland character. I know there are people who are extremely angry at it, and I understand that. They're welcome to their opinion, and their opinion is valid. But I thought that it was just a great resolution to the series. And probably skip ahead 2 minutes if you don't want to know anything about this. And it shows how Roland finally has grown as a character, because this time he brought the horn. What it has going for it is there's some great character where there are scenes that will, if you're a fan of the characters, that will piss you off and also break your heart. I mean, if you want to cry, read the entire series and then read this book. You're probably going to cry. I've said before, Eddie Dean is like my favorite character from this series. Might be my favorite Stephen King character. He's not my favorite fictional character, because Samwise and Piglet probably are in the top two. And then there's Dr. Watson, and there are others. But Eddie Dean's definitely in the top 10. So, and Oi and Jake, and another thing that people may have an issue with is the author being in the story being part of the story. I think it worked, and I think part of why it works is because Stephen King was so hard on himself in it. He made himself look like a complete bumbling idiot. So, if he had built himself up as the hero, that may have been one thing. So, this one is actually rather easy for me. It's going to be the Dark Tower 7 that is moving on to be possibly trounced by the Stand. We shall see. Maybe not. I will go a little bit more in depth when I go over that. But I am going to go ahead and complete the final 8. We're going to go over two of the books that were selected in this century as number ones for their 5-year block. First one is Revival, and it's going to be going up against Fairy Tale. Now, Revival, before I said, was something that King has definitely expanded on recently is the tonal shift, like the full nostalgia, like almost the body kind of, get you right in the heart kind of thing here, and then just total whiplash. And it's like not all of them are like this, but total darkness with the Revival. It's just it's sunshine, and then it's faces of death. I think it works pretty well. I do see a lot of people enjoy this book and a few others in like the last 25 years or so. I enjoy most of King's work, but some people have moved away a little bit since particularly the mid 80s, and then some since the mid 90s. So he's not quite as popular as he once was, but of course, he's still one of the most famous and best selling authors around. I mean, obviously, there are other authors who clearly outsell him now, but in the horror field, which he doesn't quite always write horror, although this definitely is, in the horror field, he's still number one. I like the characters in here. I I thought about the ending of this one quite a while after I first read it because it's unsettling. And sometimes you want to go into a book and just escape into it, and sometimes you want to think, and sometimes you just want to be shocked so hard you get knocked out your boots. And I think this does that. Now, Fairy Tale has a bit of a tonal shift too, not anywhere as drastic, and it's more like nostalgia to fantasy. So it also, like Revival and like a lot of King's more recent work, has the young boy with the older man, although in here the man is much older than in Revival. And of course, the boy and the much older man is pretty much always going to die. Whereas that didn't happen in Revival in the nostalgia part. Did it happen in the horror part? Who's to know? Read it, you'll see. So The problems I have with Fairy Tale, I mentioned before, Charlie doesn't talk like a teenager nowadays would talk. He, King is not going to be able to write a teenager child who talks like kids these days do. I couldn't do it. I have a teenager and I still couldn't do it. Well, my dialogue would be grunts. But other teenagers, they have their own language that I don't understand, and that makes sense because it's I'm past that time. And I kind of feel like the fantasy world wasn't developed as much as it could have been. Not the characters, but the world itself. I kind of felt like I didn't really have a good grasp on the world. I don't feel King really delved into the world building part of it. He just kind of he made a video game where you can only go into a few rooms, and you know there's something beyond that, but you just can't get past there. It's just the way it is. I still think it's a great novel, but you know, when I'm comparing books, I have to acknowledge the flaws. And as I'm comparing these books, I don't know which one I'm picking yet. That's a conundrum. So, uh, with with this one, we have recency bias. I last read this one 2.5 years ago, possibly three. I read this one in the last 6 months. I'll be honest, when I first started talking about them, I thought I was going to pick Fairy Tale, but I think I'm going to pick Revival. I think that Revival just sticks with me more. I love this book, but did I ponder it at night after I had read it? Was I thinking about it weeks later, trying to figure out just what the hell is going on? No, I didn't. So for that reason, I'm picking Revival, and I'm being completely honest. I did not expect that was going to be the case. I thought it was going to be pretty easy. It was going to be Dark Tower 7, and it was going to be Fairy Tale. I was right on one of them. So now we have our brackets. Next time, it's going to be the final 8, and I will be doing, I don't know, the West Division. So until then, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time in 5-Year Battle.